Hello, my name's Adriana and welcome back to my YouTube channel. On December 6th of 1991 in Austin, Texas, 17-year-old Jennifer Harbinson, sister 15-year-old Sarah Harbinson, 17-year-old Eliza Thompson, and 13-year-old Amy Ayers were murdered. In 1991, December 6th actually fell on a Friday, so it was the day before the weekend. We were actually just a few weeks away from the fall semester being over and them getting their Christmas break. After school had ended, Jennifer took her sister Sarah home and went over to see her boyfriend, who happened to not be at school because he had actually recently had a family member pass away. After she visits her boyfriend, she then goes to a friend's house to pick up a wallet. I believe she left, and then she drives over to the school to pick up some form of paperwork she needed to run for Queen of the FFA. Now, all four girls are members of the FFA. They loved animals. Amy Ayers, since she was in middle school, was only part of the junior FFA, but they all were really big members of it, and maybe that's how they knew each other. Jennifer then goes home and puts on her work clothes. Earlier, while Jennifer was out and about, Sarah had told her mother that she was going to be going out that day, and by out, that usually meant she was going to be going to the mall, which is what the teens kind of did around this time. Sarah obviously does not want to go to the mall alone, so she asks her mom if she can invite Amy Ayers, and later they can have a sleepover, since they don't really get to hang out, since, you know, Amy's in middle school and Sarah is in high school, a sophomore to be exact. The Harbison's mom agrees and actually gives the idea that Sarah should go with Jennifer to work, and on the way they could pick up Amy and drop off the two girls at the mall, and then the two girls later could meet up with her sister at the I Can't Believe It's Yogurt shop and help the other two girls close up, and they could get out sooner and have a sleepover. So Sarah then calls Amy's mom for permission for Amy to go to the mall with her. Since she is younger, her mom probably is a little bit more strict maybe. And since Amy has always been safe with the Harbison sisters, she agrees. As for Eliza Thompson, there's not too much on what she did that day. I'm assuming she just went home and ends up going to work. Eliza Thompson is the first person to get to work. She gets there at 7 and Jennifer gets there an hour later at 8. I'm assuming she's dropped off the girls already. Maybe that's why she was late, or maybe that's when she was scheduled. Eliza had been working there since January of that year, and Jennifer, who actually was referred to the job by Eliza, had been working there since July. Both of the girls had the job because they were just trying to make extra money to make payments on their cars. I think Eliza was trying to help her mom since she didn't have that much of a stable income, but they were both very hardworking girls. At some point that night, we know that Eliza's mom came in to visit, and she sees all four girls. So I'm assuming that this had to be around like 9 to 9:30. Because I would assume that Sarah and Amy would be at the mall for a time. It wouldn't just be like really quick and then just go hang out at the sister's job. So that's my guess, but I'm not 100% sure. I know that throughout the shifts, the girls are actually, Eliza and Jennifer were probably in a good mood, knowing that this was going to be short and quick since they closed at 11 and then they were going to have people help them close. It should be smooth running and smooth sailing. At 10 p.m., Daryl Croft comes in to buy himself some yogurt and a few other friends some yogurt, and he notices that there is this weird male there with an army jacket type thing, and he's a little suspicious with him. He notices that the guy is offering people behind him to go ahead of him. The unknown man asks Daryl if he is a police officer or he's a cop, or I don't know what he asks exactly, but something about him being a cop. Daryl, you know, being a former officer, actually feels weird about it, doesn't like that. It's just something about that question or about this man makes him uneasy. So when this man asks Daryl to go ahead of him and offers that, Daryl says no and declines the offer. Now, when this weird man gets to the register, all he orders is a soda. Which to me is super weird, because why would you be letting people in front of you like constantly and only to get a soda? Like usually if you're offering people to go ahead of you, you're like trying to figure out what you want to get and you can't make up your mind yet, so you let someone go in front of you, but you just got a soda. That is really weird. So this just furthers Daryl's like suspicion of this guy, how uncomfortable he makes him, and he notices that the guy just disappears behind the counter, and he asks, I believe, Eliza where he went. Eliza tells Daryl that she allowed him to go to the bathroom since he had asked. Daryl is super uneasy about leaving them in the shop with this man that he has not seen come back out, and he waits there for some time for that weird man to come out from the bathroom. I guess the guy never comes, and Daryl just kind of gives up, and he ends up leaving the shop, and that's all we know about that. Another lady went in feeling a little uneasy because she sees two young men with just sodas in a booth, and they make her feel really uncomfortable to the point where she even asks the girls if they're okay being left alone with them. I don't know how the girls respond. I'm assuming they say yes and that they're fine, and that's it. Around 10:15 to 10:25, the girls start closing up shop. At that point, Sarah and Amy are there already. They're either behind the shop doing dishes or helping just clean up, since they're not actual employees and don't have uniforms. Their very last customers are a couple that come in, and again, those males, there's two unknown males that we don't know, are still sitting in that booth with just soda. So this couple also feels uneasy about those two men. Apparently they have like a bag and they're like moving stuff around. I don't know. They're just really suspicious, and it makes them a little uneasy as well. I guess the couple doesn't feel that strange about it, so they end up just leaving after they bought their yogurts, and they leave at about 10:48. The shop closes at 11, and I guess protocol has them close the shop like 10 minutes before like official closing, so that no one can come back in, but the people who might still be there can leave. So after that couple leaves at 11:48, they actually lock the doors, and we know for sure that those two unknown men were still in there when the doors were locked. At 11:03, there is a register flag for a no sell button being pressed. If you've never worked with like a point of sale system, the no sell button is pressed when there's a burglary or someone telling you like, give me your money now, because it opens the register without there being any keys or any manager. It's just what you're trained to push in the case of an emergency, and it is flagged. And this is the time that we assume, or people speculate, everything began, and when everything just started to go downhill and the horrible, horrifying night started for the four girls. It's then at 11:47 that a fire is reported and firemen are alerted. We don't know what happens between 11:03 and 11:47. The horrible and horrific events that take place are just up to speculation. We have no idea. But we can just kind of put piece by piece together of what might have happened. A firefighter doing his job notices a foot on the floor, and his worst fears are brought to light. They find 3 girls at first, I want to say, or 2, and then later we'll find another body, which is Amy's, and report a 4th body and 4th death in the homicide. Unfortunately, because the first people on site were firefighters and water was just doused everywhere to get rid of the fire, a lot of DNA and a lot of evidence had been washed away. This really hinders the case when it comes to making any kind of case against any suspects that they find. All 4 girls were found with a bullet in the back of their head. Amy actually had taken 2 bullets, and the 4 original bullets were shot by a .22 caliber and I believe the second shot by Amy is a second gun. I think it was a .380, but we know that there were 2 guns used at the crime scene. Jennifer takes the worst damage. She gets burned the most. Her body isn't even identified until her autopsy. It's just really bad. She's faceless and it's horrible. Sarah was found about 3 feet away from her sister Jennifer, also severely burned, bound, still gagged, and later discovered to have been sexually assaulted. As for Eliza, she was found on top of Sarah's body, also carrying huge burns, leaving her faceless, unidentifiable, also bound, also gagged in the same manner as Sarah and Jennifer. I believe that Amy was probably the biggest fighter in this situation because she was found actually pretty far away from the other girls. They believe that she actually was alive when whoever her murderers were left and the fire started, because they find her further away, assuming that she might have maybe crawled away, but unfortunately she does succumb to her injuries. She did get shot twice in the head. She suffers the least amount of burns, but still has 3rd-degree burns on about 30% of her body. Amy also had been sexually assaulted. The police do find $540 or more missing from the register that night, which kind of feeds that whole no sell button. They think maybe it was a robbery gone wrong, but that's been kind of thrown out. And the 2 main things, like I mentioned, I believe, were that hindered this case the most were obviously the water that washes away everything pretty much, and the fact that the initial arson reports probably were incorrect. The initial arson report stated that the fire began on the shelves and kind of spread over the walls, and that's how it started. And so when they were going about their investigations, this is how they went about it. And when they asked suspects, that's what they asked them. And so that might have affected their case. 8 years later, someone investigates this report and looks into the burns on the bodies. The high chemical or something levels were very high in the bodies after the autopsy. That really would lead someone to determine that the bodies themselves were lit on fire with some sort of accelerant. That is pretty much the entire timeline and what we know about that night of December 6th, 1991. The suspects, the investigation, all of the tips, how crazy and twisted this all gets, I am going to be making a part 2 because it is just so much to fit into one video. So make sure that you do subscribe, like, and comment so that you get all of that good juice about the next part. And I swear it's about to get crazy, it's about to get twisted, it's about to go crazy, it's about to make you so frustrated because it makes me frustrated. So make sure you do all of that good stuff. If you also have any suggestions for any future cases that you'd want me to talk about, make sure that you comment them down here so that I can start investigating them myself. And thanks for watching, you guys. Bye.